Welcome to the Iron Edge, the podcast all about unlocking your full potential in and outside the gym. My guest today is one of the most intense strong women you'll find on the planet, Hannah Linzay.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we just competed in a No Fame game yesterday.
Yeah.
How did it go? Like, obviously I know, let us all know how it went.
It's funny because a lot of people think I'm just as intense in Highlands as I am in Strongman, but you can't be because you're out there all day. And it's like, it'd be too much to hold like your intensity high, then dropping high. So it's more of a relaxing thing for me. And I still like get focused. Like when you're in the hole per se, that's when my time is to get focused. But if I've learned in Strongman, I can get really hyped up and intense and go out there and muscle through things. But with Highlands, it's so technical that you can't muscle through and you can't just get raged out because it's so technical and you'll just mess up or overgrip. Or it's been a learning curve because it's about being like long and loose, not bear down tight, so it's more of a relaxing thing for me. It's not as hard on the body. I enjoy doing it as like fun per se. I mean, I still like to win, don't get me wrong, but people that see me in Highlands think I'm like intense, and I'm like, you have no clue, literally.
Yeah, because that was the thing for me. Like, obviously, I've seen you compete in strongman numerous times, and like you were way more like fun yesterday.
Yeah, it's weird.
I get it. I mean, I was the same. Like when I got to a certain level in strongman, I like became more fun.
Yeah,
it's an interesting like dichotomy, how it just changes as you go through either the sport itself or into different stuff.
Yeah.
So you won.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the performance yesterday?
Given the prep that I had for this, it was surprising, I guess, because like I've been having to do a lot of stuff with my knee. I've been having a lot of issues, so I've been working around it. Practice did not go good.
Yeah.
I threw wob twice, and it did not go good. I hit the house one time, and the house is not up, it's to the side. Weight for distance, my last throw-in actually hit 72. That was good for lightweight. I threw my heavyweight once. Braemar, I only threw a couple times. I did not throw open stone because my knee hurt. So I expected my goal was to podium, and I didn't pay attention to the scores. It's weird because in Strongman, you pay attention to the scores, placing, when to give, when not to give. There's a lot of strategy involved. But in Highlands, I just don't pay attention. Like, I didn't even know I was battling for first to the last event. They were like, "Can you check the scores?" I'm like, "No, it's a half-point difference." And I'm like, oh, okay, now we need to, like, get it together. But it was a nice win. It's a bigger show. It's my first time outside the Southeast. It was my first Highlands show of the season. And technically, Highlands is really almost over. But it was a good win. I was happy. The girls were really cool to be with. They're real, like, laid back. It's just completely different than Strongman. Like, it's a whole different mindset. Like, you can't just be amped up all the time. I was told in my first Highland Games I was too much and I need to calm down because it's just not that way. So it's been a learning curve for me because that's the thing. Like in Strongman, you go out there, you do your event, and then you go off to the side. You're out there shagging weights with the competitors the whole day and, clapping for them, which is odd. I don't really cheer for anybody because I go to my corner and I just do my own thing. So, I mean, it's been a learning curve for myself as well. But it's been a nice ride. I like it. It's not as hard on your body. It's something I want to eventually try to practice more and get more into and try to push some records on.
Nice. I know some people know like some of your athletic background because you were soccer for a long time. And then how did you eventually get into strong women?
I got bored.
Okay.
So I blew my hip out twice in college. I stopped playing college soccer. I still lifted because I liked it. Got into powerlifting for about a year and a half. It was okay. I didn't like the inconsistency in the judging. I just didn't like the whole like, oh, let's just do these same three things all the time. The training gets very mundane.
Yep.
So I quit doing that. I did one figure show. I'll never do another one. I placed third in the open, but it's just, I don't like being consistently hungry and tired. And especially with my job now, there's no way that I would want to do one.
How did you deal with the judging for figure? Because obviously, like,
God, it sucks.
Strongman's like, you do it or you don't, whereas it's...
Well, you can't do anything. Like, you're on stage and you can't be, at that point in time, it's done. Like, there's no more, oh, I can be better than this person. It's just like, it is what it is. And there was no like adrenaline for me. I'm not like Thomas where I enjoyed the suffering. I hated it. I was very hangry all the time. I didn't like it. Then I quit doing that, but I still trained because I like training. And I grew up watching World's Strongest Man all the time with Dad. And just through Instagram, I saw that they had women competing. Then I knew a few friends I made from powerlifting that had a boyfriend that was coaching. Reached out to him. He gave me 3 options of coaches, and I picked Mike Westerling, and I started with him, and then eventually moved to Leifa, and then just started.
Yeah.
So
what do you think, like, how has your life changed since you've been in Strongwoman? Like, I know, like, at one point in time you were coaching. You were coaching in like a, was it a gym or was it like more like a fitness? Like
it was the gym, and I was a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And I managed the gym. That made training very easy. I was in a gym. I got to train during downtime.
Yeah.
Air conditioned, space. Training was very easy. I miss that because it's not easy now. Like in a hot garage after work, like it's just not easy. It's very hard, but I've met all my friends are in Strongman. You know, like Mel's my best friend. She's in Canada. I'd have never met her. I wouldn't say it's brought me, like fame or riches or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like,
what sort of lessons is it taught? I feel like for me with Strongman, it developed me as a younger male, and it developed my sort of, value system and all that sort of stuff,
Really, no one really knows about this, but Arnold 2018 prep, I was actually going through a divorce. That was very hard, and no one knew because I didn't like to talk about my business. But I guess Strongman let me know that you really can do anything you put your mind to. I went to court the week before I flew out to Arnold. Like, got my divorce finalized, got my name changed back, I think 2 days before I flew. Got to compete back as Linzay. Resilience. I've always been a very determined, headstrong individual, but really it's just like, that was one thing I could put all the control in. And that's another thing, like I've always played team sports, and I've always never been on a team that was enough of a me's. It was always people that weren't as serious, and it was fun. And like, I don't like to lose. Like, losing is not fun. I don't care how you spin it, it's not fun. So I was always on a team that was never enough of winners. Dad told me I need to get in solo sports my whole life. Well, now I'm doing a solo sport, and I love it because if I mess up, it's on me. Like, every area facet is on me. If I don't do something, it's my fault. I control everything, and I do better that way. And I've had the most success as an athlete being a solo athlete because I'm in utter control. But I guess Strongwoman in general has just taught me that, even when you're down, you can still like make things happen. And a lot of people talk about, stress and this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, but so just go to the gym. Like, you can do, the mind's very powerful. It can be very positive, very negative. But it was a very positive thing in my life because it showed me really how much I could deal with at the same time and still be successful. I went to that Arnold. I placed 4th. I probably shouldn't have placed 4th out of 6 events. 4 were static, and I'm not a static athlete at all. I made it to main stage. Main stage events were static. I gave it all I had, but I shouldn't have, statistically on paper, I should have never made it. But I had a good prep. I won my 2 events, my farmers, and there was like a medley, like the carry and drag.
Yeah.
So, it just really shows you, like, if you want it bad enough, you can make things happen.
So talking of farmers, like we touched upon this in one of the Cerberus Pro tips, like your speed demon, like, do you think some of that comes from the soccer background, or is more just like the pro tip, you really just like, it's a ride the fine line of failure or success with that?
Oh, and then dying? Yeah. I've always been more of an explosive athlete. I was a goalkeeper, so coming off my line really explosively, I can beat you probably in 20 feet. You're going to beat me in 40 feet.
Yeah.
It's a 40-yard dash. I might could beat you in 20 yards, but 40, you're going to catch me. So I think just more of the explosivity coming off the line. Timing comes down to it. A lot of people are late. They wait till you hear go, and then they get set. You know, it's just, I think that, but I'm crazy enough to push that line that if I don't make it, I will eat it.
Yeah.
And but I've always been that type of athlete. I mean, my goalkeeper coach told me, he's like, I don't know if you're stupid or you just don't care, but I've never seen people go at someone's foot to get the ball off their foot head first like you do. And it's just like, well, goalkeepers are known to be crazy anyway. So it's just, you get kicked in the face, you just eat it, but you get the ball, whatever, you know. But I mean, it's just, I think I'm just at that level, I'm willing to just run that fine line. And if I just eat it, I eat it. But if not, I make it and I win.
Do you feel that mindset maybe travels into like the work stuff you do now? So like, let's be honest, like, you know, what you're doing for work in a steel mill.
Yeah.
It's not really typical for, you know, a female in that side of stuff. Because when we talked last night, you know, you being the only female in production side, you know, do you think some of that, like, it is what it is mindset translates into that?
Yeah, because I've never been a big like, oh, well, I'm going to do it because I'm a woman. I don't really care about that. It's just I want to do it because you told me I couldn't do it. I've always been that way. Mom tells me I can't do something, I'll just do it to prove you wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's up there. I mean, it's hard work. The fact that there's no women up there is, I guess, could be intimidating to some, but I get along with guys a lot better than girls anyway. I mean, I grew up with my brother, a lot of boy cousins, all of his guy friends. I feel more comfortable really with them. So, I mean, it wasn't really scary or anything, and you just got to go with it. I mean, they're going to joke on you, and you can't let it show, and you joke back, and it gets intense sometimes, but it's all fun and games. But as far as how hard it is, yeah, I mean, there's times where upset conditions happen, and I don't think I can catch my breath and get to a cool booth soon enough because I know, like, I'm getting lightheaded or, you know, I'm getting cold on my skin, and it's just like, there's days where I'm like, screw this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I get a paycheck, and I'm like, I guess I can work 4 more days.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it definitely plays a part, and I know since I'm so dedicated and determined and strongman and stuff, and training has translated and made my job possible.
So what, like, got you into it? Was it just, like, being with Thomas that then, like, you sort of got into that side of stuff?
So we dated long distance for a year. I was back in Louisiana, and he was here. He had this job. And since I didn't have production background, I went into the hiring pool, and they pulled me for a warehouse position. So from there, you can start cross-training in other areas of the mill, see what area you like. Then when a job comes open in that area, you apply, then you can get hired on. So, I mean, I could have went done shipping, and shipping's not hot. It's fairly easy, but that's where most of our women on site go. And to me, it's boring.
Yeah.
Like, I like fire. I like things blowing up. I like to see a lot of cool stuff. You know, my job is very cool. I worked where he was at for 2 times, and he's in melt shops. That's where they take all the scrap metal, melt it down to liquid, and then tap it into a huge ladle and get sent off to LMF. Worked there, worked in casting. That's where we take the liquid steel, cast it into a solid steel bar. And then I worked in hot mill where they take the solid steel bar, flatten it, lengthen, and coil it up into sheet metal coil. Out of the 3, I really enjoyed my area the most. Just so happened a job came open, put my name in the hat, went through 2 rounds of interviews, beat out 8 guys. Actually beat out a guy that was trying to transfer from another mill that was already in casting, had casting experience for 8 years. Thought I was going to lose to him, but they took a gamble with me. They saw what I was like, worked up there with them, and then got the job. I started in February of 2021, I think. Yeah. And there's like 3 different areas. There's up top, which is slide gate. We take all the temperature samples, the still samples, work at the slide gate panel, rotating in the new ladle, hooking up the hoses, unhooking the hoses, that kind of stuff. Did that for about a month or so. Then you go downstairs to the mold, tend the mold, make sure the powder doesn't run out, swap powders depending on the grades, watching the screens, asking for water, just kind of making sure everything stays like stable. Then after a couple months in there, I went to the pulpit, learned that job. You're managing both strands. You probably have 20 screens. You're basically like the quarterback, I guess, managing between us, hot mill, and LMF. Got there in 10 months, and that was kind of quick, per se. and I rotate. We all have different jobs. Like I don't have just pulpit all the time. I have pulpit some days, mold some days, slide gate some days. So it breaks up that monotony. I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah. So I know we touched upon it when we were at dinner last night about like, you know, how you've had to change the way you approach training. Can you just like give us a little bit of a rundown with that? And like, do you think it would sort of translate to other jobs, or is it more just like, you know, because you have such a, you know, physically intensive and then the heat intensive and all that sort of stuff? I mean, I feel like, you know, some of the stuff we were talking about last night doesn't really translate to, say, an office job because it's not that physical. But maybe the mentality transfers a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And so, for example, a lot of people program off of a 7-day week. We program off of an 8-day week because I have 4 days on, 4 days off. And we program our like meat and potatoes, more event training, longer sessions, more volume, intensity on our off days. On days, it's probably about an hour to an hour and a half of work, maybe one main, a couple accessories. I can do something that takes a little bit more concentration, like jerks and stuff. Because I don't know if anybody's worked night shift and try to do a push jerk. You feel like you're going through mud and you feel like you're going to die. It's very weird. Night shift work is more accessories, bodybuilding type stuff. It was a very hard and long process for Leifa and I to figure out what worked well. I think the hardest part is staying hydrated, which is impossible because it's so hot.
Yeah.
It's about 160 degrees. You'll drink 2 to 3 gallons of fluids, and that's water, electrolyte powders, you know, body armors, Gatorades. And you can't, it's impossible. Like when it's super hot during summer, you'll drink all that and you might go to the bathroom once and it's coffee brown because you're just sweating so much. And then you go home and you try to train and your body is just going against itself. And it's like diminishing returns. So summer training's completely different. There's no way I can do another summer prep. It's too much. And then just the eating, you eat too much, you feel like you want to throw up. Thomas found this post from some powerlifter or somebody, but he makes a big shake in the morning, and because he works in some kind of like production type situation, I don't know if it's a steel mill or what, but he makes a huge shake in the morning, a lot of carbs, a lot of protein, a lot of fat. Then he only really eats 2 small meals at work, and then he drinks another one at night on his work days.
Okay.
So I'm actually trying to play with that now that it's starting to get hot. I mean, and it's delicious, but it's not, if you're trying to lose weight, it's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's like a Klondike bar, an Ensure Plus. It's got a scoop of protein powder, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, a tablespoon of olive oil. He uses milk. I use milk and egg whites.
Okay.
So I think the other day I did the protein on it. It was like 70 grams.
Okay.
I'd have to do the carbs. It's well over 100, and I don't know how much fat. But I'm trying to work with one of those in the morning for breakfast, and it's actually pretty filling. Usually I get hungry at like 7, 8. It'll hold me till almost 10. I'll eat a small meal between 10 and 11 if I can, depending on the work. Then maybe one small meal as like a pre-training meal before I go home. Then I go home and I can eat something. But like last summer, I drank a shake. It was just oatmeal, protein powder, some peanut butter, and egg whites. We hit upset conditions. I was outside working manual labor. I just threw up all over the deck. And it's like, then you feel bad because you just threw up, but then you just lost all those calories. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard. During winter, it's easier to try to eat because it's not as hot. It's funny because I think this year we worked. It was like -2 wind chill, I guess. And we're like in the steel mill and we're not wearing any more clothes than we do during summer. It's just our FR clothes because all the residual heat. Like I've never gotten cold at work because it's just so hot.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah. I actually love winter at work because I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel like I'm dying. But it's just hard. The hardest part is hydration and food.
So to roll back to the training, I know so you do a day period, a night period, and then do you guys use a swing period as well, right?
Yeah, like on my off turns when I don't work.
Okay. So how does that work with training? Do you have like a set thing for the night stuff, and then like what you said, like the bodybuilding stuff. So then are you doing like mini cycles of training, like?
Yeah.
Because
So
how long are you staying on nights for?
every other shift.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's swing shift. So like I'll work 4 days, then I'm off 4 days, then I work 4 nights, then I'm off 4 days, then I work 4 days. So every shift you're swapping from days to
around.
nights.
Okay.
So your sleep's done. I mean,
Yeah.
since I've gotten that job, it's affected my sleep cycles, stress, just swing shift's meant to kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. But I mean, and I know I'm sounding like, I guess, negative per se about my job, but I love my job.
Yeah.
The guys I work with, they are awesome. I have 7 brothers. Like, I wouldn't trade anything. They make the job fun.
Sure.
You know,
Makes sense.
and it's just, if I didn't compete, it would be fine. It's very, very hard to compete.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, when you were saying about like the different training for nights and days and stuff, I figured, oh well, you got a 4-week period where you're 4 days on or nights. And wow, that's rough.
Yeah.
So what do you do then in actual contest prep? Like how does that change from? Because I know you said
Yeah.
like for me when I was competing more often, it was like the summer training or the in-season training was just like maintenance.
Yeah.
Is that a similar sort of thing, or how does that change throughout?
So, like, for example, if I got a phone call today and said I had a contest in 12 weeks, we would switch over to event training, like specific for the contest. That would be on my off days.
Okay.
So, for example, like during the 2 days that I trained, I would have like a press day with accessories, then a lower day with accessories. I'd be off 2 days of training. Then I'd go to event training for 2 days on my off turn. Then I'd be off training for 2 days. Then I'd go in the night turn. I might have squats. That would be like my strength for the day, and then like a few accessories or like some static pressing. And then so you're still pressing twice a week. You're still getting like some squats and deadlifts in twice a week. But all your event training's gotta have to be on your off turns because you don't have it in you after you work. So it's just you'll ramp depending, like if it's a press, like a clean and press, so it's like conditioning. I'll do like some cluster work after work, and we just leave our actual like heavy events on off days. But you try to like turn up intensity, but you can't really put more volume because so like we work 12 hours. By the time we get up, get dressed, drive, work 12 hours, come home, get undressed, get ready to train, you only about have an hour and a half window. And then if you take any more time, then that cuts into your sleep. Mm-hmm. And sleep is the most important during prep. So like when I train on a day that I have to go to work the next day, I'm in bed for at best 6 hours. But how do you unwind and go straight to sleep after you just trained and rush to go to, and it's a rush. Like as soon as I get home, I rush, I take my work clothes off, put on my training clothes, I make my little drink. There's no pre-workout because you're trying to go to sleep in an hour and a half. So it is what it is. You get to training and there's sometimes I don't film anything because I don't have time to mess with my phone. Then you train for hour and a half. As soon as it's done, or if it's taken too long, you have to cut things out. You get done, you run inside, you drink a protein shake and eat like a gingerbread cookie or whatever. And then you go straight to the shower, you shower, and you go straight to bed. But you're still so wound up, so then I drink like NyQuil to try to go to sleep. So at best, you might be getting 5.5 hours of sleep. At best. There's been some nights that you just don't sleep, you're in half sleep. Yeah, and I slept like 3 hours. And then you have to go up and get up at 3:30, then go to work. And the job is physical, and you have to pay attention because like I could kill people. I could kill myself. It's very dangerous, so you have to pay attention.
Does your training change to like very event specific, the closer you get in? Like do you drop different accessories and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do. And especially like when we peak, it's basically like doing like a mini contest at home. Like we run it just the same. Yeah. But we start to knock out some of the accessories, ramp up the intensity, ramp up the weight. Because that's another thing, like on a deadlift day, just going through your deadlift sets, that might take 45 minutes. then I have to crush in, 2 accessories. So it's like it's more so working with a time frame, because there's a lot of things I need to work on to be a better athlete, but I'm only given this much time frame. So you have to take out what's most important.
Yeah.
And then put that in and plug that in. And then there's days during prep, we have upset conditions at work. We're broken down on one side, so I'm doing physical labor for 12 hours. So then I just come home, eat, and go to bed, because you aren't going to train. It would be better to get 6 full hours of sleep than to try to train halfway and then get 5.
Yeah. So I know you do coaching as well.
Mm-hmm.
So where the hell do you find the time for that?
At work, at home, on the way to work.
Yeah. Just wherever you can, essentially.
Wherever I can.
Yeah.
I don't really advertise for like spots. It's more of a pick and choose. If someone's interested, they message me. I go through, what are they looking for? What do they want? If I have the time to be able to give that to them, if they're okay with my schedule, because sometimes they'll compete and I'm on nights, so I'm asleep during the day. They have no contact with me. They can't call me because I'm asleep. So we talk about that too. Like, this is my schedule. Are you okay with this? Okay, you are okay with it, then we're going to work this out. So I mean, it's a very open two-way communication street, because if it's somebody that's trying to get out of like an injury or needs a lot more time, like, I might not be able to take them on given how many clients I have at the time, what's going on with my work schedule, what's going on with me competing. So I mean, when people do message me, it's a discussion about if it would work for both. And sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But I'm very upfront with them, because I'm like, every 4 days, if I'm at work, you might not be able to contact me. I'll get to you when I can. They might send me all their videos, and I might not have to respond to them till like 2 days, because I just slammed with work. I come home, slammed with training. I got to go to bed. I'll get back at work and I'll respond to them at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, okay, on this video, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's, if they're okay with it, then I'm okay with it. And then I just started like I guess a new like version of training. I don't even know what to call it now. It's like in the very beginning stages, but I have one client, I'm more doing the mindset of training, how to prioritize training, how to like mindset, like getting the right mindset to train and kind of have that extra piece. Because a lot of people get in their head, they don't know like the little finer things. They think training's the most important, but it's like, you got to think about training. Do you have a lot of stressors? How do you negate those? How to prioritize this, that, and the other. So I'm trying to offer that as something as well. And I have one client, she just competed at nationals. I had her for, I think, 2 months. We talk bi-weekly. We do like weekly check-ins with emails. And that's been something that she saw a lot of benefit from.
How have you found the response to, you basically saying, hey, listen, like, you got to work with me as well? Because I think the general premise of like a coach is like, oh, you're at my beck and call. And I think people forget that, when they're being coached by somebody, that person has a life too.
Yeah.
Have you found anyone giving kickback type of thing from that?
There's been people that wouldn't work with me because of it.
Yeah.
Not a lot, because I don't ask a lot from you.
Sure.
Like I'm very laid back. Nothing is fancy. I coach all my athletes from my notepad on my phone. I copy and paste their workout for the week. To them, it's very informal. I don't try to sell fancy. I don't try to do fancy things. We text, video review, call them before contest. It's very laid back. I'm not trying to like package this up and make it the new next best thing, because like training is not difficult. It's all the other things: eating, hydrating, sleeping, not being stupid, staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning on video games. And I'm very blunt with a lot of my clients. Like, there's one of my clients, he's doing powerlifting now, Ryan Saxton.
Yep.
He was dealing with a bunch of like kidney stones. That's why he kind of got out of Strongman, because he was dealing with a bunch of that. But he like did not perform at nationals how he was supposed to. And I like told him, I said, we're gonna have a conversation after nationals. And I told him, I was like, what do you want? Do you want your pro card? And he's like, yeah. And then I tore into him. But that's what he wants.
Yeah.
You know, like if you tell me like, hey, I just want to do local contests, this is fun for me, then I'm going to treat you that way. That's what you're going to get. But if you tell me I want a pro card, then now we're holding you to a higher standard. So I'm very much coach you at what you want. You know, if you want to be able to like progress and work up the ranks, then I'm going to expect that out of you. But if you tell me like, I just want to do local contests and it's fun for me, then that's what we're going to do. Because I'm not going to force you to do stuff. You know, like I work with people even if they hate, because you have to like to train.
Yeah.
You know, if you tell me you hate Bulgarian split squats, I will try to work with you to give you another exercise that can mimic the same thing. Because if you don't like it, you're not going to do it. Yeah. You know, so I mean, I'm very blunt with my athletes. Krista, she was one of my athletes for a while. Krista Owen, or not Owen anymore, it's Hadaway. But she's like the most uncoachable client ever, and she knows it. We joke about it, but you know, she knows it. She doesn't get mad at me for not getting the results because she knows like, well, I don't go to the gym how I should. You know, it's like, and that's okay. Like if you're okay with, you know, not hitting the weights you're supposed to because you're not giving me the effort, then I'm not going to get mad at you because why, you know? But I mean, it's funny. We joke about that all the time, but it's just, you tell me what you want, then I'm going to hold you to that standard because I'm not going to waste my time pushing you up here if you just want to be here. I kind of meet you at the middle. Yeah.
Have you ever butted heads with, and like, because obviously like you, me, you know, sure, Thomas and a lot of other athletes, like when you're in that higher level sort of mindset, it's hard for, well, at least for me, it was hard to not sympathize, but like understand, be like, why are you not doing this? Like if you did this, that you'd get this result.
If they have that potential, then I get aggravated with them.
Yeah.
If they don't have that potential, then I just let it slide.
Okay.
Because some of my clients do like to just train for fun.
Yeah.
You know, lifestyle clients, I have some lifestyle clients. I have another one of my clients, he's wanting to do better and start to podium and stuff, and he's trying to get things in line to do that. And now we decided to take a longer off season because if you compete, you're not going to get better. You know, so we're taking a longer off season, trying to build up that strength, getting there technical, and breaking down his press. He'll see success. It just depends what you want to do. Do you want to get better? Or do you just want to just do contest? You know, because it's two different things.
Yeah.
Same thing with an injury. Like, don't get an injury and then tell me in like 6 weeks I want to compete again. No, we need to fix your injury, get back strong, take a longer off season. So I mean, I meet my clients very in the center. And it's very upfront from the beginning. And then if later on they decide they don't want to be pushed as hard or want to be pushed harder, then I can meet both of those demands. You know, because when I first started, I would get aggravated. But then I'm like, why am I stressing myself out when this client doesn't care to be here?
Yes.
When they just care to be here. Yeah. So then that's when I was like, well, all right, well, then I'll just meet them there. And then that's when it just really started clicking.
I mean, it makes sense to put it mildly. You know, like, I feel like it's a whole mindset thing. It's like, you know, what makes your life fulfilled? Yeah. You know, is Strongman like the main concern, or is it not? You know.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of people think that's like the most important thing, and it's not. Like you have so much other stuff in life. Like one of my clients the other day, his wife, I think, graduated from master's or something. And he was trying to apologize to me because he didn't make training. And I'm like, dude, go be with your wife. Like, we're in the off season. We'll make it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Like, I'm very focused on what I do. I'm very focused on competing. But when I'm in off season, I make sure that me and Thomas go do off season stuff. You know, if it's going to get a few day beers here or taking a last minute vacation here. Because, like, I know when I'm in prep for those 12 weeks, the gym is the most important thing. And I'm blessed to have him understand that. You know, like, if I'm busy, like, could you please go cook that steak outside? It's already marinated. I need you to go cook it. And no issues. But I make sure when I'm in off season, I'm living life and I'm having fun because Strongman's not going to be around forever. And if you don't have relationships with people outside of competing and other hobbies, when it does end, you're going to be completely lost. And it's like, I have hobbies, I have friends, I have him, like, I will be fine. But some people in the sport will not be fine.
That was the hard thing for me stepping back because it was everything for so long. That, you know, I pulled back from competing and I was still training and all that sort of stuff. But I'm like, what do I do like other times? You know, like the focus and like, you know, die hard, this must happen is just not there. And it took me a pretty long time to figure it out. Even like back and forth, I was saying to Michelle, like the other day, I was like, you know what? I think I'm okay actually not competing again. Like at least at this point in time.
It's got to be your decision.
Exactly. And I went back and forth in my mind. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually really happy, you know? And I think
There's a lot of stuff outside of the sport that can make you happy.
Well, I think, you know, when you actually pull back and do more like aside from strongman, even when you're doing competing high level, I think you become a better athlete.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, it's funny because like Leifa, me and her have worked together since 2018. And she still coaches me, but I basically coach myself through her. And we have a very good relationship. I think I need X, Y, Z. I'm just going to bed. I don't feel right. And that's the thing. It's like I've become a better athlete through her because she's pulled me back a lot too. But that's like another thing. It's like, you know, I played soccer since I was 7, got to college, blew my hip out twice, was forced to quit. That was a very different scenario because now it's like, it's not on my terms, but now I'm forced. And there was like a lull of like, what do I do? You know, like I've only ever known this since I was 7 and now I'm 21. And it's like, and like I still had to be part of the team because like I got like medically redshirted and I still had my scholarship, but I still had to like go to practice and I hated it because I like was there and I couldn't even do anything. You know what I mean? So it's like whenever I eventually do walk away from strongman, I think it'll be a different experience than that because it wasn't taken, you know? I mean, it might be taken. My knee might be like, bye. But I mean, it's just, you know, I have a lot of stuff outside of the sport that brings me enough happiness that I'll be fine. And I will probably be out of the sport before like Mel. So I'll just enjoy going to watch her compete and being on that side of things, which will be kind of weird, but also cool at the same time.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's like, you know, like I took like that bicep off and I'm like, okay, and like I was still trying to train and still prep and stuff like that. And then I started having issues with this shoulder from compensation and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay, just like, what am I trying to do? Who do I need to prove anything to?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I don't need to prove anything to anybody.
No.
Far less myself. Like I did a hell of a lot in the sport. So screw it, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I decide to go back, okay, cool. But right now, like I'm enjoying like the travel. I'm enjoying like we went to Montana snowboarding for New Year.
I know, I was jealous.
It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just fun, you know?
And I have a few like milestone things I want to do before I get out.
Yeah.
You know? And some of those aren't even contests. Some of those are just things I want to do strength-wise that I need to be strong for. But, you know, what's part of me when I was dealing with all my knee issues going into Arnold, especially after Arnold, like I told him, I was like, if the road didn't take over the Arnold and we still were doing how we normally do, that probably would have been it.
Yeah.
But we're having a bunch of opportunities come up. I'm not done yet, per se. Like, with all these opportunities that are about to come up, I don't want to miss out. You know, like I've put up enough stuff to just hang on a little bit longer, you know. But, I mean, and we'll still train. Like, I love to train. I love to work out. Like, I love to do all the stuff. I still love Atlas stones. We'll probably eventually downsize some of the stuff that I don't need, but I'll probably still keep stuff, and then I might just jump in a contest. Who knows? I might do one in 2 years when I'm, like, done. You never know, but it's like, sometimes it's like, God, you know, at work, I work up and down stairs all day, and it's like your knees are just like screaming when you're doing normal life stuff. And it's like, you know, at what cost?
Well, that was the thing for me, like stepping back. And I was like, you know, when I first stepped back, I hurt so much more than I did when I was competing.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
He went through that.
And Michelle wanted to kill me because I'm like, I hurt way more than that. I just competing. She goes, well, why? Like, what do we need to do? How do you fix this? Blah, blah, blah. And I think it was like, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, let me try actually training hard again and let me just see what happens. And then everything was like, okay, yeah, I have pain,
It's better.
but it's way better than it was.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's
so
wild.
weird. And so we've sort of basically figured out that her and I both need to move in some way, shape, or form on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's how we feel good physically, good mentally,
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. And it's just like it's a different movement than it used to be.
Yeah.
But it's still movement.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I said this to Kira the other day as well when we had the podcast with her, that I think that's some of the societal issues these days as well, that people aren't moving as much, and that's just throws everything off.
That's a whole nother conversation.
I know, we could go down a whole rabbit hole with that
Whole
one.
other conversation. But I mean, no, and that's the thing. It's just even when we're not competing, like me and him still get out in the yard and like just do dumb stuff. Or like we'll be driving down the road and see some rock and we're like, oh, let's go steal that rock.
Yeah.
And then we'll turn the truck around, pull on the side of the road, and me and him will pick up the rock and throw it in the back of the truck and then drive off. You know what I mean? But it's like we still enjoy that kind of stuff, you know. And me and him are going to Scotland and Norway, and we're doing all the manhood stones. And I want to try to be healthy enough with my knees to do the manhood stones. And we're going to do the Denny's at Denny Day. And to me, that brings me more joy than being in some contest that I'm not going to be remembered in 5 years. You know, like I will be able to remember, like I got to go to Scotland and I got to pick up the Denny's and I got to go do all the manhood stones and I did this and I got to go here, and like making those memories is way more important to me than being like who got third place 3 years ago at the Arnold?
Which Arnold, women or men?
The women 3 years ago.
The year's going to be in what, 2020?
Yeah.
There wasn't an Arnold in 2020.
Yeah, there was.
Was there?
Yeah, I was there. I was an amateur.
Which year was it we missed? Which year did we miss?
We didn't.
I can't even remember anymore.
Exactly. No one knows. And no
Yeah.
one cares. Because that's the thing. That's the runway in the sport. You
Well,
don't
it's
get to
even
remember.
stuff like people don't know who Poundstone is.
They don't know who Leif is.
True.
Yeah, it's like, how are you a freaking
Yeah.
woman of the sport? You don't know who Leif is. Which, I mean, of course, Leif loves it. But, you know, it's like, that shows you how much that it doesn't really matter.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, and you and I have had conversations about this in the past. It's like, you know, I worry about some of the athletes in the sport, you know, now. And I'm like, you guys only do strongman. What's like the long-term plan? Like, you're either my age or younger.
Yeah.
Like, your early 30s, late 20s.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's your longer-term plan?
No, I know.
And I don't think they have one. And I'm like,
No.
What happened? You know,
No.
like I saw a thing with Mitch Hooper, and he's like, you know, strongman's not all I do, because
Yeah.
you're one injury away from not having any of this
Yes.
anymore. And I don't think many people have that outlook. So
A
it's like,
lot of people don't have insurance to
Yeah.
even take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm a planner. Like me
too.
and like we have goals that we're trying to meet so we can not work so hard, fast as possible. But I mean, it's just my identity is not strongman.
and I think that's something that people fall into, especially when you get higher level.
Yeah.
I think I fell into it because I competed for so long,
Yeah.
that it threw things off. But yeah, I mean,
Like yesterday, a girl I threw with, she asked me, she's like, she saw me in Arnold and she was like starstruck per se. And I find that so weird because I'm just me.
yeah.
But I get it. Like I remember the first time I saw Donna, I was like, oh, Donna's, you know, queen. And, but when I met Donna, I just treated her like a person. And I think that's why me and her are really good friends
Yeah.
today. Because it's like, we're the same. And we were talking. She's like, is it weird that people come up to you and want to take photos with you and like sign stuff? And I'm like, yes. And I don't think it'll ever not be weird.
Yeah.
But I make sure to talk to everybody that comes up to me, spend time with them. There's this one girl, she came up to me at Arnold. She had like her little workout journal. Is it Saga of Katie Thomas? Yeah. So I guess her real name is Katie. That's how weird the world is now. And she like showed me her workout journal and she's like, you know, this is what my goals were. This is my PRs last year. This is what I kind of want to do this year. Do you think they're possible? I'm like, yeah. You know, just like, can tag me in them when you do them. And we followed each other on Instagram. And we probably talk once every like 2 weeks or so, just like shooting the breeze with each other. And like, it's weird because like, you know, she was so just like, oh my God, I've got to get a picture with you, you know, this, that, and the other. But it's like, I'm just a normal person. And it's weird because you make these connections with people, but like, I don't think it'll never not be weird because I don't think I'm that important.
I get that with Cerberus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm just a guy that lifted weights for a long time and was lucky enough to fall into something and then run with it to be able to grow it into what it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still, that's, and I love, I mean, like, okay, I love meeting people.
Yeah.
It's weird to me, but I would far rather be able to interact with more people because of it,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's the thing, like I've met some really cool people. I've been able to go to some cool places and, you know, have some really cool experience and memories and stuff. And like I told Donna this past Arnold, I was like, you know, I've always been focused on, like, we've never had a crowd ever, you know, so now we had a crowd. So I actually had to interact with them. That's hard for me because I've never had a crowd. So my goals for this Arnold was make sure to like make those core memories, interact with the crowd, and like enjoy being up there with my friends.
I think you actually performed better then.
Yeah,
I did.
Even though it was the worst showing of my entire career. But I mean, it is what it is. But sitting up there in those moments with like Mel and Donna, like I'll never forget that. And to me, that's way cooler than like just being at the Arnold if you didn't have your friends with you. You know what I mean? Same thing like last year, the past 2 years with Donna and Mel, like it was weird. We're sitting there like deadlifting like 2 years ago. And I just like sat there and just was staring at them. And I was like, I'm doing like really rad stuff with my friends. Like that's cool to me.
Well, that was like when I did Giants Live in 2017 in Indiana with Robin and Adam.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun, you know, and that's what it should be. And I think all of us at some point in time in our career will fall into the whole thing of it becomes a job and it's not enjoyable. And then when you actually roll it back, you're like you said, like it's much more important to like go to Scotland, go to Norway, have those memories because like I said, it's not going to be around forever.
No.
Yeah, okay, we can train forever.
Yeah.
But some of that high level stuff isn't there.
No.
So leading from that, you know, what's next for Swampy?
No idea.
Yeah.
Well, what's next is I'm going to get PRP in my knees in 2 weeks, and I can't wait. As far as athletic-wise, we're all waiting to hear if Rogue Invitational is going to have a women's side. If that doesn't happen, then I'll wait to see if I get another Arnold invite. If that doesn't happen, then I do not know. I'm not done.
Yep.
Still just train, hopefully get a better press. God, if that could just ever happen. And just kind of see where I guess things take us. Maybe Giants Live will start a circuit for us if the Britain show goes well. We want to go to Iceland next year. I want to take a crack at the Husafell.
Okay.
So just doing that and then just taking it as it is, seeing what happens for the women. I've got to be picky and choosy right now, just with my knee health. So I don't know. I don't know what's next because apparently now we're like living the life of like the big dogs on the men's side where we don't know. We just like sit around and wait.
Yeah.
So
does that screw with you at all mentally?
I don't care. I mean, it is what it is. They tell us, the big boys tell us that you'll get an invite anywhere from like 8 to 12 weeks out.
Yeah.
Which I would like at least 12 because I'm so deep in off season that like it'd be a very quick turn of events. But I mean, that was the thing. So like I tore my hamstring at 91 Clash and I was having knee issues. We were rehabbing all that. And then randomly I got the invite for the Arnold. So then you went from not even a good off season, more of a rehab off season to just like switching channels, going into a total prep. That was hard in itself. You know what I mean? So just sit around and wait. You know, they have my phone number, they have my email address, they have my Instagram.
Yeah.
Somebody eventually will call me. And if not, whatever.
Just keep having fun until that point.
Yeah. You know, just keep doing me. Might do a couple more Highlands this year. I don't know. Maybe try to work towards a stone. So.
Like the stone record.
Yeah. eventually I just got to get healthy first.
Yeah.
Because like single stones don't bother it, but being fast and that repetition and bouncing, the fast of it bothers it.
Okay.
So like I was doing some singles the other day. And if I can take my time, it's not bad. But like in a stone series or something or reps,
Yeah, it just ruins it.
yeah, makes it not fun.
How much does this slow you down? Like, say for instance, like I saw you
Yesterday with those 100-pound farmers, when I did that demo,
Yeah.
I thought I had knife blades in my patella tendons.
Okay.
And every step felt like you were just stabbing me.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. So that ought to tell you. It was 100 pounds.
I was gonna say, like, how long is from seeing competing yesterday
Yeah,
to getting back into like a train like
I'm supposed to train tomorrow, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
yeah.
I don't know. I'll talk with Leifa, but we're doing the PRP in 2 weeks. She doesn't want to do anything that would cause my knees to swell before I would get there, so the doctor can get an accurate idea of how bad my knees are. So I guess that's from 2 weeks now. I'll talk to her today, see about training when I get home. Then go to Baltimore in 2 weeks, get PRP in both knees. Then in 2 weeks, I'll be in Norway. And Norway is going to be a fun comp because the prep's not really been existent. So it'll be a new experience for me as far as like
Just like rolling in type of thing.
just rolling into it, giving what I can, and just where the cards fall, they'll fall. You know?
Oh.
So if I get over there and something doesn't like it, I'll just stop. Because realistically, it's important to me because I want to compete and I want to do well and I want to podium. But on the grand scheme of things, it's not that important.
Yeah.
So if I have to halfway do it or stop in an event and take a 0 and I don't podium, it won't be terrible for me because, for example, the bigger goal right now is if the invitational happens. Mm-hmm. So I need to be more healthy for that in the end of October versus blowing my load and possibly hurt my knee for this.
Yeah, like Norway's more of the experience of Norway versus the contest.
Yeah, and there's certain events that don't bother it. There's certain events like the carry medley. I don't see that going well. Like just trying to jog yesterday to go to the bathroom, I was like, oh God. So, but that's just the reality of being an athlete too.
Well, that's it,
Yeah.
Do you think do you feel people struggle with that mentality?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's a mind game.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's funny, Nancy's always trying to be like what I do to her, but she's trying to do it back to me. And I'm like, I don't need this, Nancy, because I know. But it's cute that she does it. But it's a mind game because you have to work around it. But you know that you're working around an injury. So you know you're not going to be as strong as you could be for going into a show. So you know you're not going to be fully prepared. And that works on you mentally because you know that physically you're not where you need to be. So it can, if you don't have a strong mindset, that can make you go really negative and not do well at contest. Whereas I'm a very realistic person. I have a very strong mindset, but I know I'm capable of a lot of things. I know on game day I'm a competitor. I will show up. But I'm also smart enough to know that if my knees bother me, to stop because it's not that important. So, I mean, it plays on you, and there's times where I'm like, I can't even do X, Y, Z. How am I supposed to do this, But you just have to roll with the punches. And now, I mean, it was funny because all the girls yesterday were like, are y'all both hurt? To me and Kira. And Kira's like, oh, I tore my hamstring and I'm rehabbing. And I'm like, yeah, my knee's hurt. I was like, welcome to Strongman.
Yeah.
Like it's always, I haven't felt good since I was an amateur, really, when things weren't even heavy. But then when we did that stupid 800-pound yoke, that was a dumb idea. But it's at the Arnold. You got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to roll with it.
I never want to do an 800-pound yoke again. And if I can help it, I will never do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, why? And that's
I don't know if I want to do another 800-pound yoke.
Well, that's the thing. People are like, oh, can we do heavy yoke in training? No.
Yeah.
Do you have yoke in contest? No, we're not doing it. It's detrimental to you. It will wear and break you down. No. Well, I want to do yoke. Well, you ain't doing it with me.
Yeah.
Go get you a coach that'll program yoke then. Now, I'll do a lot of front rack yoke carries and Zercher carries, but we only do back yoke, like not back yoke, but traditional yoke, like if it's in contest prep. Because what are you going to get better at?
That's the thing, you know.
You know,
The way I
just
did
do
it,
heavy
I was
squats.
if I was doing it, I was like, I always programmed it for speed
Yeah, that's different.
and doing that. But okay, like if I can, like I know I'm strong enough to lift 1,000-pound yoke.
Yeah,
If I can run a 700 or 800, 50 feet in 6 seconds,
Yeah.
then I know it's going to transfer.
yeah.
But and that changed the training load. But people don't. I don't think people think about that mentality. They're like, oh, I have to hit this.
No.
It's like no, like you know you can hit it. You're good.
You know how many times I've gone to contests and have never hit the press weight till I get there, and it's been there, because percentages matter.
Yeah.
Like if you can be at home and hit 95% of contest weight, at contest you're gonna hit 100%.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Like, but it's a mind game because people are like, oh, I have to hit contest weight. Oh God. Or the people, this is so funny, the people that have to hit contest weight in the warm-up area before they go on the comp
Yeah.
floor, I'm like, you just lost a rep.
Yes. Yes.
But then I'm like, keep going. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? Proving to all of us in the back warm-up area that you can hit comp weight?
Yeah.
You know, unless you're like Andrea who can just,
Whatever. Yeah. Just go and do it. Yeah. No problem.
yeah. But I mean, it's just funny the mind games that people play. It's like, whatever.
Well, they try and play a mind game, and then they end up just screwing themselves.
Oh yeah. And you can see it from a mile away. You're like, watch them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Totally agree. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up.
perfect.
Thank you again so much for coming in. I very much appreciate it. I'm very excited to see how Norway goes, how the PRP goes, and honestly, I'm very excited even more to see how Donald Day goes.
Me too.
Yeah, and if you need any travel advice, let me know.
Probably,
Yeah.
because I've never been out the country.
We'll figure it out.
I appreciate it, Ken.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.